this is Noreen from Joya Cards, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Yay! For more of my Stampin' Up! Card videos, please click that subscribe button and the little bell, and you'll be notified when my videos release. Also, I give away the demo card, so if you're a first-time subscriber, put your email in the comments and I'll email you back and let you know if you won the card. Also, make sure you watch the video all the way through, because you never know, I might give the card away to anyone, or I might be doing card kits or swaps or something. So anyway, now let's go make a card. Today's card is the Inspiring Canopy tutorial, and this is an awesome set. I mean, you've got these dies, and I have a feeling I'm going to be using these a lot, because not only the trees and the leaves here, but this is awesome for making like a landscape thing or waves, or this is awesome. And then we also have like a moon sun here die. So this is an awesome set, and it goes with Inspired Thoughts, which is a bunch of cool sentiments. And so let's go ahead and make this card. So on top of using the Inspiring Canopy dies, we're going to be using the sentiments from Inspired Thoughts, and the sentiment tag is going to be used from Ornate Frames. We're going to be using Basic Black, Basic White, Beauty of the Earth, and In Good Taste. So we're going to start out with a Basic Black, the typical 5.5 by 4.25 card base. And then what I did, and might be a little bit of a waste of paper, but I preferred doing it this way just to kind of get my reference of how much space I have. Took a piece of Basic White and I cut it 4 by 5.25. So you're going to have this black border around your card. And then I took a piece of the sky paper from Beauty of the Earth, and this is awesome because I was gonna do like a total blending of the sky, and I was gonna make the grass and all that, and it's like, why? We've got this awesome paper. So I cut this the same size as the white piece, the 4 by 5.25, and I'm gonna go ahead and snail this up. And there, like I said, there was a reason for doing this, because I could have made this shorter and all, but I think just for getting the sizes correct and all, I'd rather waste a little bit of paper it takes to do that. So that's the first thing you need to do. The next thing we're going to do is take this die from Inspiring Canopy and take a piece of the paper from Beauty of the Earth. This one with the little trees on the back and the green on the background here. This is like a perfect grass picture or paper. So I'm going to take my die and I'm going to run it across probably 1 inch from the bottom, you know, just about right there. And I'm going to go cut that, and I'll be right back. So I just die cut that. And when you die cut that, put a little piece of tape down, because you don't want your die to be, you know, flying off your paper here and then have a weird cut. So we're going to do that. And then you're going to cut one more, because there's like a rolling hill going on. So there's actually 2 layers. So I'm going to take my die again and do another, I don't know, like 1 inch. So I'm not measuring, I'm just doing about, you know, like that much. So I'm going to cut this one. So I cut the second one. So now you've got 2 pieces of this green paper. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it to the side. Now I'm going to take the tree die from Inspiring Canopy, and you're going to notice one thing. It's a big die. This thing is like 6 inches by like a little over 3.5 inches. So it's a big die. So I thought about making a slimline card, but I just didn't. So, and then I'm going to take a piece, and this is just a scratch piece of In Good Taste. It has a lot of wood and stuff, and I thought that would be great with the trees, because I thought, well, I'll just sponge and make the trees. It's like, why should I do that? We've got paper that looks like wood, right? So I'm going to go ahead and die cut this out. Now you've got your die cut. Now make sure that you take your pick tool and poke out all the little cuts from it. And by the way, if you go to the body of my video, you'll find all the bit.ly links for everything you see here, like take your pick tool, all the DS paper, and you can click on it and place an order really fast. So that's kind of cool. So now I'm going to take some crumb cake and a dauber, and I always label my daubers for what color of ink it is, so I can reuse this a million times. So I'm going to take a little bit of ink to the trunk because it's a little light. So I'm going to just darken it up a little bit, and you can go into the branches sometimes when I put these things on, you might see a little bit of it. So, I mean, it's not going to hurt to go ahead and hit the branches, but I'm going to color all this and I'll be right back. So now it looks a little bit darker. Now I didn't do any of this below part here. I just did the trunk and the branches a little bit. And of course, as I'm doing it, I dip it in the ink pad, I stamp it off, and then I kind of just push it on, just so you don't get a big glob of, you know, a circle on your piece. So that's how we do the trees. So now I'm going to do the leaves in the trees. Now, unlike the sky and the grass, I am actually going to make this paper because I just wanted to do something that's going to look different and I can have more control over my colors. So the first set of leaves I'm going to make are going to be green. So I took up half a piece of just basic white paper. You definitely want basic white. Just take a half piece, and we're going to do the green leaves on one side and the pink purplish leaves on the other side. So starting with Daffodil Delight, I'm going to put my blending pen in the stamp, and I'm going to tap it off. And depending on how well inked your pad is, you might get a little different color than I do. If you have the tendency to over ink your pads, you're going to get quite a dark color, so be careful about not doing that. But I'm going to go in and I'm going to blend half of this in, but I'm not going to like cover the whole thing. I'm just going to give it that little hue of yellow like so. And then before I go into my greens, I'm going to just try to get as much of that yellow off. If you've ever taken a class on these kind of blending brushes, you know a lot of people don't wash them, and I think that's crazy. It would drive me nuts to have all stained up brushes, but try to get as much as you can off. And then I'm going to go into my Pear Pizzazz and dip it in and stamp it off. And I'm going to put a little bit of a hue of green in here. And if you notice, I'm not only going in stamping it off, but I'm starting from an edge on the scratch piece of paper and I'm working in, and that's gonna hopefully prevent me from just putting a big old splotch of green on here somewhere, because I definitely don't want to do that. Fortunately, with this die with the leaves, it's like kind of a detailed die, so if you did accidentally splotch something, you're probably not going to see it. So that is my Pear Pizzazz. Now, since I'm going into another green, I'm not going to be worried about that green going into the other, so I don't have to take off too much, but I don't think there's a lot on here anyway. Then I go to my Granny Apple green, do the same thing, tap off and go in. And see, we're making our own little custom color here. Something that nobody else will have, you know, which is just going to make your card that much more unique. You see, I splotched, but I bet when I cut this die out, you won't even see it, or I can go around it because I'm not going to cut on the whole piece, so I can avoid it. Okay, so there's Granny Apple green. I will attempt to take at least the top layer of green off, and I'm going to go into my Old Olive, tap off. Now, my Old Olive I've inked recently, so it's much juicier than the other stamps, so I have to be careful. So when you ink your stamps, just be careful for a while when you're doing any kind of blending, because you might have it oversaturated a bit. So now we've got a combination of all these colors here, so it won't look like one solid color on your leaves and look kind of silly. So there's the green. So now we're going to start with the pink purpley leaves, and just to mess with you, I'm going to do it with daubers. All right, which it gives a tiny bit of a different effect, a little bit, but not really. I don't know why I did this. I just did. And if you don't have the blending brushes, if you want to use daubers, you know, you can do this too. So I'm just going to give it the lowest or the lightest color, which is Fresh Frieza. So I got Fresh Frieza going first, and I'm just kind of filling it in like that. And then I'm going to do Polished Pink, which is one of the new ones. And if you don't have the new colors yet, you can use the next ones up. You'll see. It's just, you know, different colors of pink, so I think it'll work. So I just wanted something different with a lot of different colors in it, because these are the leaves that are truly changing. So, and then I'm going to go in with a little Melon Mambo and kind of dauber it in here. I do want to get rid of all the white though. Okay, and then I'm going to dauber in a little magenta madness. And I'm going to fill in some of the white spots for sure. Okay, and then I'm going to do some rich razzleberry. Stamp that off. Get that darker color in here. And this is a really dark color, so be kind of careful because this one will definitely splotch on you. And then the last color I'm going to use is Gorgeous Grape. Now I did do the other one. I put a little Highland Heather in it, but it didn't show up, so I omitted it. It's like if it's not going to show, then I'm not going to waste my time. So just make sure the little white spots are covered. I might go in with another polished pink just to cover up the white spots. And that's how I made the pink. Now that we've got our paper all blended, you're going to take the 4 dies from Canopy and you're going to cut 2 sets of these dies. So I'm going to cut this once on the green and twice on the green and also on the other side. Now, as you're cutting, keep all the little pieces that fall off because we're going to be using that for the falling leaves on the card here. So keep those. So I'm going to go cut 2 sets of each color and I'll be right back. So I now cut 8 of the green and 8 of the pinky purple from the 4 dies here. So, oh, also remember, I give away the demo card. If you like and subscribe, put your email in the comments, and then I can email you back and let you know if you won the demo card. I just get your address and I stick it in the mail. So something for free. So please make sure you subscribe. Anyway, so we've got these cut out and we kept all our little pieces from the cut. And now the only kind of tedious thing is I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool and I'm going to pop out these little leaves. So it just, you know, sit there and just pop them out because it gives the card a little bit more of a 3D effect if you pop them forward. So I'm going to pop these forward and I'll be back. Now that we've got all those little leaves popped up, we're going to go ahead and assemble the card. Now, if you go to the body of my video where all the Bitly links and everything else are, if you place a $150 order, anytime that you see this video, I can give you one of my retired stamp sets for free. So $150 order, just go to the body, click on one of the Bitly links, and it will take you directly to my site. You place a $150 order. I'll mail you one of my stamp sets, my retired stamp sets for free. If this is an older video, you can still do the same thing because I always have retired products. I don't make videos with retired items, so I generally have something going on. So you can get that for free. So let's go ahead and start assembling the card. Now we're going to go ahead and start assembling this card. Now we got our 5.5 by 4.25 base, and we already put the sky on the basic white, which is 4 by 5.25. And then we're going to start with these trees. And if you notice, the trees are longer than our sky. So I'm going to take this over to the cutter and clip this down to 5.25. I'm back. So what I did is I took my piece, I turned it over to the wrong side, I put it in my cutter and measured 5.25 going this way and cut that long end off. So it fits perfectly on here. Now we're going to decide how high we want to put our trees up. And we want to give us enough room to put these leaves on. So don't put them right on the tippy top, but I would put them right here. And the trees just fit into this area. So I'm going to go ahead and take my snail. I'm not too worried about the snail catching on the envelope or anything because it'll be covered up with leaves. So I'm just going to give it a quick snail and then put it like, make sure I'm lining up this bottom piece here and making sure I've got enough room at the top kind of simultaneously and go like that. So that's how we put our trees on. Now we've got our grass that we cut earlier. You've got one without the edge and one with the edge. And you want to take the one without the straight bottom edge and you kind of just go ahead and figure out, like, if I put them together, they should be about there. And you don't want to make your trees look too short either. So, and if you have to cut off a little bit of the edge here, then go ahead, because I think I don't want to put my trees that low, so I need to keep this about here and this about here. So I'm going to go cut off a little piece of this edge. I cut that much off because with this piece on top and then the edge here on the bottom, that looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and snail that up and put it right where I want it. So you don't want the trees to be too short. So make sure that you've got your grass lined up on the right and the left. And if you have to pull up, you know, that's the nice thing about snail, is that you can pull this up and adjust it. So I want to get that a little more exact to the edge over to here. And then take this piece and snail it up. And if you're a little short on one side and not on this side, then you could take this piece, start on the bad side, line it up to the edge in the corner, and do it like so. Before we go any further, let's make the sentiment tag because we're going to have to use that to line things up. So I'm going to go do ornate frames and grab this piece, and I grabbed a piece of scratch, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. Now I'm going to use the Inspire Thoughts stamp set. Now there is a bundle. You can get the stamp and the dies for 10% off when you bundle it. But I'm going to put it in my bit.ly link separate, but there is a bundle. And you know what? I'll put both. So you can get that little discount if you want to place an order. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp this in polished pink. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. And this is a nice sentiment stamp. It stamps really well. You know how some of them are a little kooky. So there's your sentiment. So I did take this and put some dimensionals on the back. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in the middle like so. Now let's go ahead and put on the leaves. Now you might want to just kind of sit there and fussy with it for a minute and see where you want to lay these colors, because I just kind of mixed them up here. And since we cut this twice, we've got some options. Now we will be using some for the inside, so you want to save some. That's why I had you cut 2 sets of it. So go ahead and make your arrangements and figure out where you want it. And I'm going to just use snail it up, and I'm going to start layering here. So I put that here. I'm just going to kind of copy what I did for my other one and take the different sizes and just sit there and have fun with it. I mean, it's your card. You can do however you want. So I'm going to layer mine up, and I'll show you the result. So here's my tree with all the little layers. And remember, I asked you to save your little pieces because we're going to make like a little thing of leaves on the ground. So just take your little pieces and figure out where you want to lay them. The big pieces work the best. So go ahead and do that. So I'm going to line these up, and I'll be right back. Here's all my leaves out on the tree, and they look good. Now that we've arranged where the leaves go, take your fine tip glue or whatever glue you have and put a little bit on your silicone craft sheet. And then I use the putty end of my take your pick tool and just kind of dip it in that glue a little bit, and then pick it right back up and then put it on the paper. So pick it up, dip it in there, take off the little excess, and put it back on, and it'll go pretty quick. So I'm going to adhere down all my little leaves. Now all my little leaves are glued down. Now if you don't have one of these silicone craft sheets, even if you're just like a scrapbooker and you're just kind of looking at cards, these things are fantastic. I used my glue on it, which keeps my glass clean because you know, if you have any kind of remnants of glue or anything, then things get stuck to it. This keeps your area clean. I can mix colors on here. I can do mirror image stamping on here. It's flipping amazing. So go to the body of my video, click on the bit.ly link. You'll go directly to my Stampin' Up site, and you can place an order. And don't forget, if you place a $150 order on my site, not only will you get the rewards, because there's a reward program with Stampin' Up. If you place a $150 order, you get $15 worth of product for free on that order, and it only goes up. So if you place more, then you know it goes up and up and up. So that's pretty awesome, and you'll get a free one of my retired stamp sets. So, and I'll let you pick. You know, this doesn't have to be any particular one. And if the video is old, if I have retired products, I'll give it to you. So anyway, this is the part where we're going to put it on the card base. I am going to take the back and I'm going to snail it up, and I'm going to put it right there on the middle, and that's the front of the card. Now let's do the inside. So the inside of the card is really cool. In my body of my video, all the dimensions from all these pieces are there. And the inside, this is going to be 4 by 5 1/4. And then when you were cutting the front of the grass here, I was using a piece of paper that was 5 1/4 by 4. So after I cut these, I had this much left, and that's intentional because I'm going to do the same to the inside of the card here too. So we have to have this bottom piece here, this straight piece. So I'm going to put my die about there, and I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to bring it back, and I might cut off this little piece here. So let me go ahead and cut this off. So I've cut this piece, and I got my flat piece for here, the flat edge, and then we have this big piece here, and that's okay, because what we're going to do is we have to put this one on first. So it'll go down really low, and this one will sit on top of it. But before we do that, what we're going to do is cut out another tree. So take another piece of that same DS paper from In Good Taste that has all this wood on it, and this is the real light one. And all I'm going to do is cut one of these trees. So I'm going to take it to about here, and I'm going to cut this down because it's DS paper and I don't want to waste it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this in half and then die cut this tree. So I cut that piece. So I laid this down and I only cut out the one tree, but I took some of this other tree because what we need to do is take some scissors and kind of make an ending to the tree. So cutting off the other one. So I'm going to cut all this part off and I'll be right back. So I cut the other piece off, and it looks a little lopsided, but that doesn't matter because we're going to cover it up with branches anyway. So, and then I'm going to take this bottom piece and I'm going to cut just the very bottom off like so. Now go back to that paper that we sponged earlier and cut another set of these leaves off for this tree. So go ahead and just cut like 2 a piece or something. Now really quick with that tree, I'm going to take whatever residual ink that's on that crumb cake dauber from before and just give the tree a little bit of color like we did to the front, like so. Now let's put it all together. So I'm going to go ahead and snail the back of the tree, and just like the front, we're going to put it in a spot where there's a little bit of space for the leaves on both sides and the top. So here and here. And then we're going to put on our big wavy piece, not the one with the flat bottom, the big wavy piece, and snail that up. And we're going to basically line that up with the bottom and the sides because this is a pretty big piece. I mean, I could have cut it down, but there's no reason to. So let's put it like that. And then grab the flat piece one, and we're going to put it on top of that one like so. And that's what you've got. Now, when I put these 2 pieces on, I made sure to turn one of them around so they're not matching up the wave. So I just mixed that up a little bit. And then, just like the front, we're going to take our leaves. Now, these you don't have to pop out because they're inside the card anyway. And just go ahead and start layering up your colors however you would like. Now, before we put the sentiment on the card here, if you can see, I don't know if you can tell in the video, but I have actually put in a little bit of sky. So I'm going to take one of the water brushes here and put it in balmy blue. Then I'm going to take a paper towel and kind of wipe a lot of that off, and very gently, like you're barely touching the paper, go over your card. And if you run out, then you get a little bit more. You know, it's always better to put on too little than too much. So, and just give it a little brush of the balmy blue, however you like it. Just like that. So that's really cool. Now let's move on to the sentiment, which we're going to use polished pink again, and we're going to use the sentiment from Inspired Thoughts as well. It's this one right here, and go ahead and stamp it and put it right there in the corner. Sorry about my head. and give it a nice little pressure test. There we go. And now all we have to do is put it in the card. So I nailed the back and just put it so a little bit of the black is on the edges, and that's it. So don't forget, I give away the demo card. Like and subscribe, and if you're a first-time subscriber, put your email in your comments and I will email you and see if you won the demo card. And don't forget, you can place an order, and if you place a $150 order, I will give you one of my Retire stamp sets, and you get the rewards on top of it. So that's great. So that'll do it for me. Bye.